The drawdown schedule, some 3,000 African Union Transition Mission in Somalia forces were to leave Somalia at the end of September in a withdrawal process meant to gradually proceed until December 2024. But as the 30th of September drew closer, the federal government of Somalia felt the need for the UN Security Council mandated ATMIS to postpone the drawdown by at least 3 months. And Somalia's request for postponement has been supported by troop contributing countries, which wrote to the UN Security Council on the 23rd of September 2023. In their joint letter, they argued that Somalia be granted time to address the pressing challenges without hastening the security transition process. Hassan Khanenje, the director of the Horn International Institute for Strategic Studies, says the drawdown could expose Somalia's vulnerability.
Somali government's capacity, especially when it comes to the military and security sector, has not been growing at the same rate, at which, for instance, ATMIS plans, of course, to withdraw. ATMIS withdrawal may mean a vacuum being created in certain sectors.
On the 30th of June, ATMIS completed the first phase of the drawdown of 2,000 troops. But one of the lessons learned was the many attacks Al-Shabaab terrorists mounted on Somalia security forces after the peacekeepers handed over their bases. The tipping point came on August 26, 2023, when Al-Shabaab launched a brutal attack in Oswein, forcing Somali government forces to retreat from several recently captured towns. These latest terror attacks have curtailed efforts to build the capacity of the Somali security forces. ATMIS was to complete the second phase of the drawdown on the 30th of September, reducing its military presence by 3,000 soldiers. That would have left only 14,626 personnel in the African country.
When you put the ATMIS drawdown, or at least the drawdown of 3,000 soldiers by the end of this month as scheduled, on top of that, that also means then they have to focus on holding those areas, or the areas where the forces were. And so it adds another dynamic, another degree of pressure. It probably distracts a little bit from the government's ongoing efforts against Al-Shabaab.
The Somali government told the UN Security Council that an unforeseen turn of events had stretched its military forces thin, exposed vulnerabilities in their front lines, and necessitated a thorough reorganization to maintain the momentum against the Al-Shabaab threat. Despite the setbacks, Somalia remains committed to pursuing its path towards achieving stability. ATMIS is slated to fully withdraw and hand over security responsibilities to Somali state by the end of 2024.
Even if ATMIS does leave by the end of next year, I'm sure there's going to be a regional dynamic in Somalia, whether that is bilaterally, so Somalia negotiating with its neighbors, with others, to maintain some sort of security presence, or a new regional architecture that comes into play.
With the inevitable end to the ATMIS mandate, it means the primary responsibility is going to lie on the Somali government to be able to establish order and provide security to its citizens. But then, because of the desire of the Somali government to join the East African community, and in a move that looks like they may eventually join it sooner or later, then Somali problem and the terror problem becomes the ownership of the East African community. It becomes a responsibility of the community members.
All eyes will now be on the UN Security Council as it makes a decision on Somalia's latest request that has been backed by several troop contributing countries. Enoch Sikolia, CGTN.